When it comes to investing, studies have shown that investing styles change significantly depending on a variety of different factors. People who are younger, have less money, or are less experienced with investing tend to pursue investments in stocks that are touted as having a high potential for explosive growth. These are usually tech stocks of companies that claim to be launching some kind of disruptive product that's going to change the world. Typically, younger investors are those just willing to gamble on an investment or hoping for a life-changing amount of wealth to come out of one or several different stock picks. But as studies have shown, the odds of someone picking a stock that does exceptionally well are incredibly rare and unlikely to happen. It does happen from time to time, but the odds of picking more than one stock that quadruples in share price in a couple years pretty much never occurs. The wealthy, on the other hand, tend to pursue a different kind of strategy when it comes to investing. Studies have shown that as a person's income rises, they tend to want to invest more of their money into something that's going to provide them with cash flow. Instead of trying to invest in something that they hope is going to deliver them a 1000% return over the course of a couple of years, experienced investors instead lean towards investments that are going to provide them with income. It's a different style of investing compared to the majority of Americans, but it highlights a really important strategy that the wealthy are usually better at, which is that it's important for your money to keep earning you more money. A study from the Nonpartisan Tax Policy Center did a study to figure out how Americans earn the majority of their income. What they found was that for people who earn less than $500,000 per year, salaries and wages make up roughly 75% of their income. In other words, for nearly all Americans who aren't super wealthy, their 9-to-5 job is usually the main source of pretty much all their income. Their standard W-2 or 1099 if they're an independent contractor is their only way of earning a decent amount of income. The other 25% of income for people in this category came from a variety of different sources, including pensions, annuities, social security, and so forth. But what researchers discovered was that as the level of income increases among individuals, the reliance on wages from a job alone decreases. For taxpayers making between $500,000 and $1 million per year, wages only make up about 50% of their yearly income, indicating that the more money people make, the more diversified their income streams become. Then finally, when looking at the top earners in the United States, those who earn over $10 million per year, salaries and wages only account for 15% of their income. For these individuals, the degree to which they rely on their day job for their income drops pretty significantly. So I think there's two questions worth asking here. What did the super rich do to get to their level of income, and what are they doing now to keep earning income and sustaining their lifestyles? The study by the Tax Policy Center provided some insightful information as to what people in this income group are doing with their money. Participants in this study provided researchers with the sources of where they earn their income, and the sources they provided were pretty diverse. For example, some wealthy people relied on hedge funds and private equity investments to grow their wealth. For others, they bought and sold stocks and reported capital gains as being a large source of their income. And then for some investors, a lot of them relied on real estate investments. Although for the people who reported capital gains as being a source of income, it was very rare that they had very large gains every single year. Rather, it came from the sale of one major asset like a business that resulted in significant amount of capital gains being reported. But this is what I thought was the most interesting part of this research study. Researchers found that for the wealthy that participated in their study, on average, they receive roughly 15 to 20% of their yearly income from dividends and interest-paying investments. That's a significant amount of income from people who are really good with their finances. Based on these results, if on average, respondents in this income category report up to 20% of their income coming from dividends, we can assume that most wealthy individuals rely pretty heavily on dividend-paying stocks and ETFs to make them wealthier or provide them with the income they need to sustain themselves. If on average, people making over $10 million receive up to 20% of their income from dividends and interest-paying investments, this indicates that most wealthy people pursue dividend investing to at least a certain degree in their lives. Many of the most influential stock investors love dividend-paying companies. For example, Warren Buffett invests a lot in dividend-paying stocks. In 2022, Berkshire Hathaway collected more than $6 billion in dividends. Many other famous investors, including Ray Dalio, Carl Icahn, and Ken Fisher, all hold dividend-paying investments. Many corporate executives have been able to retire and live off their dividend distributions from the shares that they own. And although most people watching this video won't ever become a corporate executive, it's not unreasonable to believe that if enough dedication and consistency are done over the long term, anyone watching this video can eventually build up a multi-million-dollar dividend portfolio. But there's been even more research done on this, which points to a very similar result, which is that wealthy individuals love dividend-paying investments. In 1996, the book The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley and William Danko was published, which gave some really insightful information on the super wealthy. The book is a compilation of research studies done by the authors on American millionaires and talks about how they become wealthy and what they do with their wealth. In the book, Stanley and Danko interviewed hundreds of millionaires to figure out what these people do with their finances. To summarize the main point of the book, the overwhelming majority of millionaires do not live lavish lifestyles. Most don't drive sports cars, live in mansions, or fly private jets, or even first class. The typical millionaire looks like the majority of most Americans out there and works a very typical job like being a mechanic, a salesperson, a teacher, or a nurse. The main factor on whether someone will eventually become wealthy comes down to how one views money and their behavior towards it. In my opinion, one of the most important findings from The Millionaire Next Door is that nearly all millionaires rely on more than one source of income, which is what the study from the Tax Policy Center also confirmed long after this book came out. It's been widely discussed within the financial realm here on YouTube that apparently the average millionaire has about 7 different income streams that they rely on. Some of the top income sources include a job, a side business, royalties, and rental properties. But just as the case in the study done by the Tax Policy Center, one of the most popular means of earning additional income for millionaires is through dividends. So when considering the studies done in The Millionaire Next Door and the research done by the Tax Policy Institute, it's clear that people who are successful with money love dividend-paying investments, and it's easy to figure out why that's the case. Dividend investing is the ultimate form of passive income, and I know that's a phrase that gets thrown around a lot, but the truth is most forms of passive income aren't actually passive. If you create something like a book or music, you still need to spend time promoting it. Even with owning a rental property, which is a good form of investing, it still requires some work to maintain even if you hire a management company to handle all the day-to-day maintenance stuff. With dividend stocks and ETFs, you collect money without having to do any additional work on your end and allows you to pursue other forms of earning income. Even for those who aren't super rich, dividends are an appealing investment for a few reasons. First, dividends are available to everyone. Investing in private equity funds or hedge funds are only available to those who are accredited investors. In order to become an accredited investor, you need to have a net worth of at least $1 million or earn at least $200,000 a year. This means that only the wealthy have access to these types of investments. Real estate, on the other hand, does have a lower barrier to entry, but it's still not an easy thing for most people to access. A lot of research is required to buy real estate property, whether you're investing in a residential or commercial property. You have to know how to perform due diligence on a property, perform repairs, calculate cash flow, know your local laws and regulations, and so forth. And because of high interest rates and high home prices, it's gotten even more expensive than ever. Second, dividend investing is significantly easier compared to other forms of generating income. Although you need money to buy dividend stocks in the first place, I've known plenty of people who, instead of investing, will use extra money that they have to start a side business. I've seen plenty of people start everything from becoming a live streamer to making stock footage to starting an auto detailing business. While many of these are done out of passion and you can't put a price on that, I've seen many people start side businesses that fail. I can't help but think to myself, imagine if instead of starting a business, you would have instead invested into a dividend-paying stock. I've known plenty of people who would have made much more money doing that instead of starting a business that had a high startup cost. But ultimately, many of the best investors and the wealthiest people in the world know about the power of dividend investing in the stock market. This graph by Hartford Fund shows that dividends play a key role in maximizing stock market returns. You can see a $10,000 investment in the S&P 500 with dividends being reinvested would leave you with over $4 million in total return since 1960. If you didn't include dividends, you would only have $641,000 during that same time frame. Investing in dividend stocks and ETFs are a really solid way of building up an additional income stream that compounds over time. I think it's a good idea to observe what financially successful people do with their money, and if many of them are sold on the benefits of dividend investing, then that sounds like a good reason to consider doing it. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you liked what you saw, then feel free to hit that like button below and click subscribe if you want to see higher yielding investing strategy content. Again, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and until next time, take care.